Hey everyone, welcome. I am Rick Uzzi, and today I'm going to be talking again about broadband deployment and specifically broadband funds that are available through the USDA. This is something in addition to the Broadband Infrastructure Act. I'll be right back. Thanks for joining me. Rick Uzzi here at Zquorum. So, there's a lot of news obviously about the Broadband Infrastructure Act that was passed recently, but some new funds have become available that are not included in that, I should say, in addition to that. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that. So what we have basically is the USDA, which has had their Reconnect program open for a long time, has just now said that they're going to be accepting applications for $1.15 billion in loans and grants to help people living in rural communities get access to broadband. So this includes up to $350 million for grants in tribal and socially vulnerable communities. As it says here, this is on the heels of the recently enacted bipartisan infrastructure law, which provides another nearly $2 billion in additional funding for the Reconnect program. So this is something that was already in place, but now there's going to be another $2 billion for the Reconnect program that was part of that Infrastructure Act, Infrastructure Investments and Jobs Act that was passed recently. USDA anticipates issuing a new notice of funding opportunity to make the additional funds in the bipartisan infrastructure law available in 2022. So that shows you that this is money right now that you can apply for. So the NTIA that's managing the new Infrastructure Act, they have 180 days, roughly till May of 2022, in order to do this notice of funding opportunity. And it sounds like the USDA is going to be able to do one as well. Maybe they can do that sooner. So maybe they'll have a separate one for that, but that'll be for those funds. But this is something right now that you can apply for. High-speed internet is the new electricity, Phyllis Hack said. It must be reliable, affordable, and available to everyone. The funding USDA is making available through the current application process and through the nearly $2 billion additional funding that we provided for this program by the bipartisan infrastructure law. So basically, again, what this is saying is they're making this available through the current application process. So this is really prior to the Broadband Infrastructure Act. Again, a little background here. So eligible applicants are state, local, or territory governments, corporations, that could be any kind of business, Native American tribes, limited liability companies, and cooperative organizations. Available for projects that serve rural areas where at least 90% of the households lack broadband speeds at speeds of 100 megabits per second download and 20 megabits per second upload. So that's basically kind of the second tier of speeds in the broadband infrastructure plan that would be for what they're calling underserved areas. So unserved is 25 by 3. Underserved would be anything that's less than 100 by 20. What is it? 100 by 25. Yeah. And applicants must commit to building facilities capable of providing. Oh, I just said that. USDA will also consider the economic needs of the community. So they've got several things that they're looking for here, and they're going to rate these. They basically give you points depending on your application and which parts of this it meets. And I'm going to go through the points here in a second. So USDA will also consider the economic needs of the community to be served, the extent to which the provider will offer affordable service options, the project's commitment to strong labor standards, and whether a project is serving tribal lands or is submitted by a local government, tribal government, nonprofit, or cooperative. And I'll talk a little bit more about those. And there's a few more that were in the Federal Register when it was published that I think would all. So let me head over here to this. So these are this is the scoring that I was just talking about, these different things. So it says applications will be scored based on the following criteria. Again, ruralness of the area, rurality, is that a word? A PFSA, or 25 points. The PFSA, that's basically kind of a census area per square mile, or if the PFSA is located at least 100 miles from a city or town that has a population of greater than 50,000 inhabitants. I'll go ahead and link to this as well as the article I was just reading from in the comments when I'm done here. Level of existing service, so that would be 25 points. So that would be in areas that are not receiving at least 25 megs by downstream and 3 megabits per stream, megabits per second upstream. So again, that's the definition of unserved in the new Infrastructure Act. That's the minimum. That's kind of the minimum bar for broadband according to FCC, and anything that's less than that, they say, is unserved. Economic need of the community would be 20 points. So percentages must be determined by utilizing the United States Census Small Area Income and Poverty Estimates. There's the acronym right there for applications. Affordability, 20 points. Applicants should demonstrate that the broadband prices they will offer will be affordable to their target markets. Provide information about pricing and speed tiers they intend to offer. And all of that's required as far as the Infrastructure Act. So this is the USDA Reconnect Fund, but they're requiring similar stuff. Include at least one low-cost option offered at speeds that are sufficient for a household with multiple users to simultaneously telework and engage in remote learning. So they want to make sure that these speeds are enough so that you get the whole family home. Some people are working, some people are going to school. They want to make sure it supports all of that. Labor standards. So I think here you can read. Basically labor unions. It's important and necessary. Where is it down here? A description of whether, and if so, how the project will incorporate strong labor standards. Wages at or above the prevailing rate, covered by a project labor agreement. That I think would be, again, maybe union agreement. What safety training, professional certifications, in-house training, and/or licensure will be required. Again, this is a Democratic administration, so there's going to be a lot of emphasis on some of these things, including labor unions. Whether a locally based force will be used, or performed directly by an employed workforce or contractors. Policies and practices in place to ensure employees and contractors and some subcontractors are qualified. Any violations of state or federal labor, workplace safety and health, or employment laws within the last 5 years. So those are some of the things related to the labor part of that. Tribal lands, they always want an emphasis on that. Tribal governments and tribal entities. This is 15 points if you are a tribal government or a tribal enemy, and at a minimum, 50% of the geographical area of the PFSA is to provide service on tribal lands. You get 15 points. If you're a non-tribal entity, for example, if you're just a city or some other, maybe just a corporation, maybe a service provider, then you can get 10 points. If that, again, same thing, 50% of the area is provided to service on a tribal land. Local governments, nonprofits, and cooperatives. Local governments, nonprofits, cooperatives, including for projects involving public-private partnerships where the local government, nonprofit, or cooperative is the applicant. So if you are a corporation, if you're a telephone company, cable company, and you partner with a local government like a city, then you can actually get the funds here as part of that public-private partnership. So that's always a good model. Again, if you've got maybe a telephone company working with a county or a city or something like that, then that does qualify here. Socially vulnerable communities, there's not a lot about that in here. Net neutrality, so again, they just want to make sure that if you're going to put in the network that it's going to be net neutral, and most networks really are. It's just trying to prevent some things here that might be considered not net neutral. For example, that you shall not block lawful content, obviously, application services or non-harmful devices subject to reasonable network management. So you're allowed to manage your network under these kinds of net neutrality regulations or rules, but you're not supposed to block traffic. For example, if you're providing VoIP service, you can't block some other over-the-top voice service. Or same thing with TV, that kind of thing. Can't impair or degrade lawful internet traffic on the basis of internet content, application or service, or use of a non-harmful device, subject to reasonable network management. That's very similar to what I just said. Engage in paid prioritization, so you're not supposed to allow some people to have, not only degrade some services, but allow other people to have a higher level of service if they're going to pay you money to do that. And really that's, in a sense, degrading other services, right? So if you're going to allow somebody to pay you to get better service, then in a sense you really are degrading the other services. So there's that net neutrality clause. And then wholesale broadband services, 10 points. Now you can think about this as what we call an open access network. So if a city, for example, wants to build out the infrastructure and build this fiber network and then allow other retailers or marketers to come in there and market the service, that can provide the support, the marketing, the sales, and then additional, basically it's like a dumb pipe that the city would be building, and then the marketers could market their own services. They can have a VoIP product, some might not, maybe an IPTV product, email, those kinds of things can be marketed over that. And that's going to help increase competition. You've got that one network infrastructure everybody's using, but you've got competition on there that the citizens can sign up for in that area. I think that was it in here. Yep. And then just as far as a couple of details on this, this is from the Federal Register that had a little bit more information. So I have to get closer here. So this basically begins November 24, 2021. Application can be submitted. So that was that last week? And that's on the portal until 11:59 can be submitted. So that was that last week? And that's on the portal until 11:59 on February 22nd, 2020. I'll link to this as well. Applications will not be accepted after the 22nd until a new application opportunity has been opened with the publication of an additional FOA in the Federal Register. Applications must be submitted electronically through that particular link right there. So again, I'll link to that as well if you're interested in this and reading more about it or even applying. So that's it for today. I'll be back tomorrow. I think tomorrow I might go a little bit more into the Reconnect program, for those of you not familiar with it. I just wanted to talk about what funds were available today through this particular 1.15 billion that's coming out right now. So thanks for joining me. I will be, again, back tomorrow. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. Click the little notifications button, and then you'll be notified in your browser and in your phone. They did away with emails, but you'll be notified in your browser or on your phone if you've got notifications for YouTube set up in there. So go ahead and do that. If you've got any questions, feel free to contact us, send us an email if questions about this, or if you need services like broadband infrastructure, feasibility studies, construction, engineering services, managed services for end users, tech support, device provisioning, diagnostics, we do all of that. So visit our website at acorn.com. You can learn more about it. Thanks for joining me, and I'll be back next time. Bye-bye.